We are live now. We are live now. This is Bodhisattva Tarafdar. I welcome you in the platform of History That Matters. And this is basically a program organized by our center, that is Netaji Subhash INA, Netaji Subhash INA Information Center, Kolkata. And today only, we had an interaction with Dr. Jayanta Chaudhary, and now we have with us none other than Sri Anuj Dhar. The whole India knows him. There is no requirement to give any special introduction to him. But as far as the formalities are concerned, we welcome Anuj Dhar. Anuj Dhar is here. Famous author, Netaji activist, Netaji researcher, and what more I can say about him. We have with us our member volunteer Supriyo Mukherjee, and the people who were following the programs on the platform of History That Matters are very much aware about Supriyo. So without wasting
good evening, everyone.
Without wasting any more time, we welcome Anuj Dhar into our program.
Thank you very much.
And the thing is that, on 20th, that is on the eve of Azad Hind Day, on 20th of October 2020, we have established this particular center. And the basic initiative was of Bharat Scout and Guide, the Boshirhat Association of the Boshirhat wing of this famous organization. Boshirhat is basically a subdivisional town in the district of North 24 Parganas, around 50 kilometers away from Calcutta. And the thing is that all the members, all the volunteers, and everybody associated with Boshirhat Local Association of Bharat Scout and Guide, I welcome you on their behalf. The center welcomes you. And Dada, if you'd like to say something, Anuj Dhar, please.
No, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much. And you just told me about your organizations that you have, and it's very heartening to see that somebody is, anybody who talks about or does some work about Subhash Bose in a constructive way, I personally feel very glad. So I'm very happy that you are doing this job, and I've seen some of your blogs, and so it's fantastic and fabulous, and I'm very happy to be able to join you today. And I look forward to more such sessions, because we have now, especially in this COVID era, we have got this channel available to us, whereby we can do the live streaming and we can reach out to people all over the world. And and there are a lot of people who are willing, interested in knowing what's happening on the Netaji front. So that's how it is. So I'm very happy to be able to join you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Dada. So we'll start about we'll talk about Sri Anuj Dhar before talking about Netaji and other issues. And Netaji,
I don't want to talk about myself. I'm not relevant. I don't want to talk about myself. I'm very.
So Dada, how it started actually? How it started? You were with a big paper house, with a big newspaper. So how it started?
My story is very, very different from many because people think that I'm like, my grandfather was part of the British Indian Army.
Right.
And he fought against the INA. So he fought against the INA. So I knew from very young age, I never saw my grandfather. He was dead long before I was born. But I knew from my own, family history that since my grandfather was part of the British Indian Army and he fought against Subhash Bose, so I knew from my own family folklore that India's becoming free had to do with the INA, because British were controlling this country using essentially our armed forces. So using Indians were being used to rein in the other Indians, as we all know. It was British police, it was British, and so I know from my own family lore that this army turned against the British after the INA episode. So this was the basic interest I had, in this entire episode. And when I joined Hindustan Time in 2001, by that time, Mukherjee Commission was functioning. And Veer Sanghvi, the editor of Hindustan Times, very keen on the Netaji death mystery. So we were, reading a lot of material about it, coming every now and then. And it was essentially in mid-1990s, Purbi Roy, one of the, you must be aware of her, name and contribution. Right. What Dr. Roy did was a fantastic thing about which I have written in a book also. Her biggest contribution was that she brought the issue of Subhash Bose to the mainstream media. That means newspapers in those days. We didn't have channels, in 1990s and even beyond. So because of her, a lot of stories are coming in media, and that's how Hindustan Times also began to cover them. So by that time in 2000, that period, I already had some interest in Netaji because of my family history. And then when I was in college, I had gone through Samar Guha's book, Netaji Dead or Alive. So I knew a little bit about, there was some controversy about him. And so when we joined, we were then in HT, so these stories are coming. So this idea struck me at that point of time, then if you want to resolve the issue, why don't we just do a DNA test of these ashes which are lying in Rinpoche temple? So this was the first thought which came to my mind. And I began, asking, I tried to do a story. I couldn't do it, but then I spoke to some experts and they told me it's possible, maybe not possible to testing on the remains. It's not possible. Anyhow, the story, I couldn't do, but later on I did one story on Netaji, which was published in the Sun Times in 2000. And thereafter, my seniors in my department, I was for the internet division I was working in. They came up with the idea. One of my senior colleague, Shali Ittaman, he's from Kerala. Shali's idea was to do a proper inquiry into this case, and they pulled me in because I was interested in Netaji. But I was just interested. I was not very much deep into this issue, and like the many people who are deep into, I was not deep into it. I was just interested because of my family background. And so in 2001 especially, we started this inquiry on Hindustan Times website, and I became the leading member of it. And that is my starting point. And this is how I began, taking interest. And we read everything, met relevant people, spoke to everybody, including Purbi Roy. So this is the introduction. This is how I started.
Right. And
Anuzda, just a small question.
Supriya has got something to say. Yes, please.
Yeah. So before 10 to 15 years, hardly I have seen people were not interested into Netaji issue. People thought it as a past thing, so they were not interested. But now we have seen you writing books.
That story unfolds because thereafter what happened that in 2004 or 5. Me and some friends got together. We didn't have, of course, StreamYard was not there. We didn't even have Facebook. And I'm talking even before Orkut came in the picture. So there were Yahoo chat rooms, if you remember. So on Yahoo chats room, of course, I used to talk to people here and there. And somehow we got into these chat rooms where people were discussing Subhash Bose. So we formed a group there. And that is where we start discussing among ourselves. And it so happened that one of the person, Shayantan Dasgupta, was living in my area or locality. So we could physically meet each other. And then Vishal he turned out he was also in Delhi. So we met physically face to face. Then one person flew in from Calcutta, so we could meet each other. So we formed a group and we thought something has to be done about this case. Some action has to be taken because by this time the government was suppressing the Mukherjee Commission report, which we had anticipated before it happened. So we formed a group called Mission Netaji, and thereafter Mission Netaji has been responsible for turning the whole thing upside down, so to speak. It is because of us from that time onward the issue has been in the limelight. So we have changed the entire contours of this case because of our efforts. And the first thing we picked up way back in 2006, we thought that issue is now dead. The government has covered it up. Commission reports rejected by the government of India. The government is not keen about Subhash Bose in any which manner. So in order to revive this entire case, we need to do something so that media catches attention of something's happening. And unless until something gets published in media, neither people will listen to it anything, or nor would a politician do anything about it. So we picked on the right to information because in 2005 the Right to Information Act was enacted in India, and we thought, let us use the right to information to dig out information about this matter. So beginning 2005-6, we started approaching different departments of Government of India ministries seeking information. So our first case which we filed against the Ministry of Home Affairs got into big thing. So we were able to get out a lot of documents from the government, and there were denials also, but it got us a lot of media attention. And throughout from 5 to maybe 2006 to 2010, we collected a lot of information. So from all the ministries, including and even from outside the country. I mean, I got information even from the American CIA using the American Information Act and so on and so forth. So by 2012, I had collected a lot of information data, Mission Netaji and me, PV, all of us. Then I wrote a book in 2012 called India's Biggest Cover-Up. Now, this book was different from any book written previously in many ways. One of them was that I actually outlined in a chapter a plan how to resolve the controversy about Subhash Bose's death, Netaji's death mystery. people before me probably were discussing it, but they could not probably, the times are different. They could not, blueprint as to how to go about it. So there I discussed this entire issue and I talked about, focused on multiple things, one of which was declassification. That you must declassify all files about it. In this age and time, you cannot, in the right information age, the files cannot be kept secret. And for the book, of the release of the book, I come to Calcutta and I meet members of Netaji's family and we all sit together. And then we, Mission Netaji and Netaji's family, formed a team. And then we said, look, something has to be done, starting with Calcutta, which is Netaji city, and we have the maximum followers of Subhash Bose in this city. And we must organize talks, we must organize our press conferences and so on and so forth. And that's what we started from that time onwards. We had multiple press conferences in Calcutta Press Club. And I thought of the candle march. I said, look, in India, every time something like, any controversy, especially relating to death happens, people take out candle marches. We had in Delhi, for example, Arushi Talwar case. So people took out candle march. So I was the first person to propose, and the first permission was given to me in my name. We took permission from the Calcutta police. So the first ever march on 23rd of January, seeking declassification, happened in Calcutta, and I was the person who organized it. The permission was in my name only. And the Netaji's family came, and we all came, and the media came. So, and this is likewise. Thereafter, we started approaching different, people, including the Honorable Chief Minister of West Bengal and others. We began approaching because declassification can be done only by the politicians. So, and we also approached at my behest, the family approached Mr. Narendra Modi, who was then the Chief Minister of Gujarat. So this all has resulted in multiple things. And then, of course, we have been involved in many other ventures. For example, my book was turned into a web series by Ekta Kapoor, which has taken the message to all over the world. And then recently, Srijit Mukherjee, he took, the research of Chandrachud Ghosh and mine, and he turned into a movie, and which is now. So we have been able to, in last 2015 especially, ever since we formed a group called Mission Netaji, we have been able to take this message like never before. I mean, for example, last year I was touring America, my third tour there. I was giving lectures across America in universities and to people here and there. This something was impossible to do, isn't it? I mean, in 15 years back, you didn't have even not even Adda on Subhash Bose in Calcutta, to be very frank with you. No university would organize it. I've spoken at Jadavpur University for 3 hours. So I'm sure nobody else has done that. Nobody has given a PowerPoint presentation in Jadavpur on Subhash Bose that issue. So in that sense, we have been very successful in, in taking the issue to public all over the country. I've had good session in Gujarat. I have a good session in Maharashtra. My best was, I think, in Latur, where 2,000 people turned up. 2,000 people turning up for a PowerPoint presentation in a big hall.
Right. It's a big
so likewise, this is how we are operating. So we have brought a huge paradigm shift. Now people are aware. So on that part, I should not be, having any qualms in saying we have done a wonderful thing, the group, Mission Netaji. It is because of us, people have become so much aware that the issue concerning Netaji are discussed today in India.
Thanks for the brief.
It's a very, very, very brief outline. If somebody disagree, I can answer, because a lot of people disagree. They give their own ideas. Look, I've been working for 40 years. But what did you achieve in 40 years? You couldn't get even a single, when Srijit's film came, some people criticized, who are in the habit of criticizing people. Look, I don't agree with. I said, your disagreement makes no difference to me. Forget about Bombada acting as Netaji, and forget about Srijit, somebody of their caliber, under SVF coming and making movie. आप 2 पैसे का सीरियल बनाया बंगाली में कभी सुभाष बोस पे? बिल्कुल। श्रीजी तो बहुत दूर की बात है, प्रशंजी चटर्जी से बहुत दूर की बात है। 1966 में फिल्म बना था नेताजी पे आखिरी बार बंगला में। तो चेंज तो हम लेकर आए ना। अब तो गुमनामी तो वर्ल्ड, ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड पीपल हैव सीन. I saw the movie in Calcutta. I saw the same movie in Virginia in America, near Washington DC. तो पब्लिक का रिएक्शन सेम है. यहाँ भी रोए थे, वहां भी रोए. तो so that is a thing, that is a change that we have brought. And I keep joking, in fact, sometimes many times I speak tongue in cheek. So people think I'm, serious. I'm not sure. Sometimes it's my habit to make, tongue in cheek remarks. If जितना काम हम लोगों ने इस इशू को लेके किया है, इतना काम अगर मैंने महात्मा गांधी भी किया होता, तो I would have received a Padma Shri by now. Had it not been Subhash Bose, my focus of research, if it was Mahatma Gandhi or Pandit ji, I would have received a Padma Shri. I probably would be sitting either in some university in America or maybe in Parliament House.
But the achievement but the point which you have achieved is that the people like us, people like me, Bodhisattva Taraf, the people like Supriyo, are into activism. I'm a banker basically, but I have to do hard work. I need to commute. The thing is that, and the same case is with Shupri also, though he belongs to another industry. But the thing is that being a hardcore professional, on the other hand, seeing you, studying, reading your books, following you over there, and the thing is that you could you could inject that particular essence of activism among us, so that
when you say you, I mean that means the group. I am not alone. I represent a group of people, so I am not alone. So I have, of course, this Mission Netaji group and others, including you. See, without the support of people, there's nothing anybody can do. So there are a lot of people who have who have directly, indirectly helped us, and it is a collaborative effort. We all have to make our efforts, because that what we are trying to achieve is not possible unless until all of us puts our get our acts together and work as a team. So this is one reason I have been more successful than others, because I've always thought that everybody should join their heads on this issue and then do something about it. So that's how I look at it.
So the point is,
I admire that you are being a banker and being you're doing so many other things that you are able to devote time. You could always do the same show on something else, which probably will get you more hits. You organize a talk not on this issue but on some movie or maybe something else. People would love it more than watching something on Subhash Bose. But you choose to do something, as I've chosen to do something we think is more pertinent, is more relevant than talking about, let's say, some movie or some cricket match.
Right. And we are successfully doing it. At least people are listening to us, and people are ready to listen to us.
Yeah.
And a new movement can be started by the thing is that
Yes.
thinking may change, the thought process may change. That's the thing.
Yes.
And for that, this particular center is being established for this particular reason only. We have got plans to organize conventions or lectures throughout India, in other parts of India as well, including Bengal. So
I look forward to being there after the COVID thing is over, because right now, of course, we cannot travel, but yes, these conferences are very important. Unless until you organize talks and seminars, message won't go across.
Right, absolutely.
वो तो अभी का टाइम है कि अभी हम लोग नहीं मिल सकते तो बात.
Please.
So this is very nice. So I wish you all the luck. So
थैंक यू वेरी मच. अच्छा दादा, अब हमारे अभी नेक्स्ट टॉपिक पे जाते हैं. मैं क्वेश्चन नहीं करूंगा, मैं टॉपिक बता रहा हूँ या पॉइंट बता रहा हूँ. जैसे अभी यू सेड अबाउट एंड इन मेनी ऑफ योर प्रोग्राम्स रिगार्डिंग द death or the life after death of Netaji, that there are 3 pertinent points, which can be the resolutions or something, which can be the main 3 pertinent points. So can you elaborate the same thing for our viewers?
No. The idea, my thing is simple. The point is that I started, as I was telling you, I started inquiring in 2001. So by that time, I had, sometime back in college, I had gone through some more Guha's book, and I had this thing in my head: there's something wrong with the plain caste theory. And thereafter, we read so many articles in newspaper, and and this Purvi Roy madam had made so many revelations. So with this backdrop, I began inquiry. When we started our inquiry in Hindustan Times, so first thing I did was to look into this. I read the Khosta Commission and Shanwas Committee reports. So you look for documents, you talk to people, you look in documents. And for a while, especially when you read Khosta Commission report, it looks very convincing. So I initially, when I started, you can say that my assumption was that the plain caste theory was correct. That's what I thought. Especially after reading the Khosta Commission report, I was more or less convinced that this is the truth, and the rest everything is basically figment of imagination and nothing else. But then, as it happened, I discovered many things, and the story went forward. So thereafter, when I wrote my book, my first book came out in 2004. I tried to simplify the whole thing, and I gave people, an idea. Okay, this is the death mystery, and essentially we have three theories of Subhash Bose's death, and we need to choose one of the options, and only one option is true. The first option, and there are multiple theories people have in past over decades. Different points of time have spun different theories, but they don't stand on anything. So, for example, there was a American journalist who, God knows how, came out with the view that Netaji was captured by Americans and killed, which is completely nonsense. It has nothing to stand on. It has nothing to substantiate. There's no evidence, no document, no eyewitness, nothing. It's just nonsense, pure nonsense, figment of imagination. So likewise, there have been different theories about Netaji's death. So, but we discard all the rubbish, and what we find that the only 3 theories are valid, which can be discussed. The first is the plane crash theory. The second, which is official version. The second is the version of Netaji being in Russia and where he was killed, according to the likes of Purbi Roy and General G.D. Bakshi and Subramanian Swamy. This was the second theory. And for a while, I believe in this theory, by the way, because I first think that the plane crash theory is correct because I read the Costa report, Commission report, and Shahnawaz Committee report. I feel convinced. Then I read more. I see no, they were not being truthful. I realize there's something more to it. Then I discuss with Purbi Roy. It makes all the sense. It sounds very credible. And thereafter, of course, I discovered that there was another angle to this whole story, which is on the face of it totally unbelievable. But it was the Gumnami Baba issue, and I discussed that, and I also studied that part. So these are the 3 angles, and this is how we developed the whole thing. From 2004-5 onwards, when my first book came out, I have given this narrative everywhere. There are 3 options as to what really happened to Subhash Bose, and the country has to take one option. I have taken my pick, but so this is the framework which I created, and this framework since then has become very useful. In fact, the Srijit's entire movie is based on this framework. So this is a framework under which the entire discussion is happening even today. That plane crash theory, the Russian angle, and the Gumnami Baba issue.
Right, and your book, particularly in India's biggest cover-up, you have elaborated all the angles.
I have everything. Yes.
Right.
If you want
to all the aspects, though you
yes, because it's very because if you want to read about, for example, the plane crash theory, to read my book, I'll give you all the details. I find it funny. Some people come and ask me this. The other day, somebody was asking about Habibur Rahman. I said, you go and read my book. I've written 3 chapters on him. Don't tell me ABCD, but you're telling me something which is kid stuff. I've written 3 chapters about him in great detail. What he was, what was his interrogation like, and what happened to him in Pakistan, so on and so forth. I know everything. So don't think I'm an idiot. I know. Then, if you want to discuss the Russian angle, I think my book gives you the best commentary on the Russian angle. I discuss the issue. I tell you what happened. If you want to know what is the significance of Purbi Roy's work, read my book, not her book. Her own book doesn't say anything about what she did, or even she doesn't explain it properly. I have explained very clearly what Dr. Roy's importance is. So I have discussed in detail in my book the Russian angle also, and of course then I discussed the the Faizabad angle, which now we have our latest book Chandrachud and I have written Conundrum, which is essentially based on the third aspect, because we have already concluded, and I concluded way back in 2005 that the Faizabad angle is a truthful angle of the three theories. Yeah.
And the last book is actually about the Gumnami Baba aspect in detail.
It is about the whole story. It's not about, it does discuss the plane crash. It does discuss the Russian angle, because Gumnami Baba angle does not counter the Russian angle. Gumnami Baba said he was in Russia. So we don't dispute. If anybody comes up, in line, which Purbi Roy and others, and others keep on doing. So I'm not disputing that he was in Russia. I'm only disputing the killing part, that he was killed there. There is no evidence of his killing. Whatever evidence we have, it shows that he was there. So that is fine. Gumnami Baba said he was there. Right. So, but yes, this book discuss. But once we have reached that conclusion that this man was him, so yes, the book basically our conundrum, the book essentially focuses on the Gumnami Baba issue, but it goes back to Russian angle. It talks about Russia, it talks about the plane crash theory, and so on and so forth. But essentially, it is focused on the reality. So now that we have concluded it was him, so then I would rather discuss him rather than going back to Russian angle, which I've already done in my previous books.
Another thing, Dada, for our viewers actually who are viewing the program, many of us are aware about that Habibur Rahman was actually accompanied Netaji at that moment when the plane crash took place. The line got disconnected.
No, I'm very much here. Go ahead.
Awesome. The thing is that Habibur Rahman was there when the plane crash occurred, and he was the prime witness, and his statements was taken many a time. So can you for our viewers, though you have mentioned the thing in your book, but for our
Habibur Rahman is the main witness because he was Habibur Rahman was the main witness because Netaji's ADC, he was the one who was chosen by Subhash Bose for to accompany him on his last known flight. And he became the viable witness to the plane crash because the others who were on the plane probably did not know Netaji well. In fact, most of them had never seen him before. And when he, the plane crash happened and Subhash was taken to the hospital, Habib was there. And he spoke to him and he witnessed his death. And then cremation happened, he was there. So he was the main witness to the entire story. Now, well, on the face of it, why should you not believe him? But the problem is that when you look into the entire case dispassionately, you find there are many problems here. Problems are that he was making so many contradictions in his statements that he made 1 month after the plane crash. So he made maybe 3 or 4 statements a month or so after the plane crash. So there are huge contradictions in these statements. Then I saw his, I think I was the first person to saw his interrogation reports, now kept in the National Archives in Delhi. I think no historian has ever studied those reports. I have seen them. I have reproduced copies of these reports in my book also. So the British the intelligence and others who inquired into Netaji's death and they ran an inquiry here, they interrogated him until June 46 or whatever, and they were not convinced. So these reports are very good insight that this man was not being truthful. And then the rest of the story essentially comes from Calcutta. Habib happened to be in Calcutta after he was released. He was examined, for example, by Sharad Chandra Bose, Netaji's elder brother. And Sharad was a very eminent lawyer also, by the way. And Sharad, after examining Habibur Rahman for 16 odd days, he said that he's not being truthful and he is just obeying an order which was given to him by his commander. So likewise, and I've also heard from reliable sources, and people have told, and Habib off the record made statements to the effect that he was giving out a story to save Netaji's life. So that is the sum and substance of the entire story of Habibur Rahman. People often, we don't doubt his credential. We are only saying that he said what he was ordered to. Unfortunately for him, he moved to Pakistan after partition. He became part of the Pakistani government. He was first in the Pakistan Army. Then he joined Pakistani, Foreign Office. It was not possible for him to, just speak out like this, because Netaji was not back in India. Nobody knew, in fact. So he couldn't have changed his stand so easily, being a, senior Pakistani government official. So that's a tragedy. And soon after his, retirement, he passed away. So he didn't have time to, probably, do anything about it. He came to India in 1956 to appear before Shanwaz committee. They decided the same thing. But then also, off the record, he made a statement in India also, Delhi in 56, that Netaji will come back, something like that he did say. So Rahman's story is very, very interesting. But then, if I have to go as a researcher, I have to go by something, I will pick the interrogation reports, which are very clear that he was not being truthful about the plane crash theory.
Now let us go to another aspect, something like, Netaji or the INA lost the war during Second World War. But as per the declassified documents, British archives on something like that, works of Kalyan Kumar Dey, and how Netaji and his military activities was responsible for India getting freedom. What is your opinion about that? Can you just...
My opinion is same. My opinion is same that it's even the British now accept this thing indirectly, that it was because there was a virtual revolt in the armed forces. That's why they left. I believe even Netaji was aware that militarily he didn't stand much chance. When he was in Germany attacked Russia, and his original plan was to take support from Germany and Russia and then come to India. So when he heard that Germany had invaded Russia, he knew that the war was over. And when he came to Southeast Asia, the tide had turned against the Axis forces. So he knew deep down that the Axis will lose the war. That is also evident from the document that we have got now. So he knew, and he was waging a psychological war, and he knew that once people of India come to know that Indians are, fighting the British like this, which was not possible, which nobody had thought of, especially after 1857 revolt when Indian was suppressed like anything. So he had this thing that, if people come to know, they will rise in our favor, and in case the INA enters India, the whole country and especially Bengal will rise to India's their support. And this will trigger a huge, uproar in India, and which will lead to the freedom. That's what he thought. So it didn't happen that way exactly, but it did happen in some way. And we all know that because of the INA Red Fort trials, it triggered such an emotive response all over the country, that even the Congress party leaders were totally against the INA, who were calling them, misguided people, and they were essentially towing the British line. Gandhiji was totally against, using any violence against the British rulers. They had to support the INA in Red Fort trials because that's what people wanted. and Congress had an election to win in 1946. So this is how it changed. And then now you mentioned after the 1970s, the British government declassified some of the records, transfer of power paper. So you can see there, they were not, they were very much unnerved. In our book, in Conundrum, Chandrachud and I have written a chapter on this entire episode. And we have appended we have given quotation from a lot of military intelligence reports from that time, which I think nobody has done till date. So not only have we discussed the transfer of power, I have not read Kalyan Dey's book. I have a faint recollection. I probably met him in Chicago. But these papers have been there for a long time. Samar Guha first highlighted them way back in 1970-73 when it happened. So he was the first person to talk about these papers. So transfer of power is something which I was said 20 years ago. So that's not a new thing. We all know. Maybe somebody has given a commentary. I do not know. K.K. Ghosh wrote a wonderful book in 1960s about Netaji. So that I believe is, I think, the best ever book on INA study, by K.K. Ghosh. But what we have laid our hands on is a lot of intelligence reports from that time. So we have put in our book and we have made a very good case, keeping in mind all the sides. Also, many records have become available in the British archives also. So keeping everything in front of us, it's very clear that they left this country because the army turned against him. And to vouch for it, there were multiple people, ranging from Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar to Clement Attlee himself. So when you have this much of information in front of you, and you have, especially the case of Clement Attlee is very interesting because you have him in coming to Delhi, Lucknow, going to Lucknow, and then he was in Calcutta. He was the acting governor in those who were the Chief Justice of the Calcutta High Court, Fani Bhushan Chakraborty. Was a very eminent judge. He was the first Indian to become Calcutta High Court judge. And Fani Bhushan Chakraborty asked him, and Fani Bhushan has left a record of it. He has written a note because he was very much afraid. He initially didn't speak out publicly because, of course, the circumstances were not that great in those days. He, for the first time in 1960, mentioned it somewhere. His speech was censored. He spoke at Netaji Research Bureau also. There again was censored. NRB has been, of course, as has been pro-Congress all their lives, at least for the last 20-30 years. So, but then Fani Bhushan Chakraborty left a note, and it was published in one of the books written by Dr. R.C. Majumdar. So he mentioned this thing. I asked Clement Attlee, who was the Prime Minister of England when India was, freed and partitioned, and Attlee admitted to me that Gandhi's whole movement had very minimal role in this decision of his that India should be freed. Essentially, it was due to the military revolt triggered by Subhash Bose and so on and so forth. So with this kind of a data in front of us, and this, mind you, this particular, Clement Attlee thing and others have been discussed by so many people, including Ajit Doval, the current NSA. Subramaniam Swamy has talked about it publicly, General G.D. Bakshi, but Mr. Doval saying it publicly is a big deal. He, the finest intelligence brains in our country. I think the best ever intelligence guy this country has seen in last 60-70 years. So if he's saying it publicly that India became free because of Subhash Bose and this Ahimsa Vahimsa had no role to play, then I think we need not know other argument from anybody in our country. I don't think so any historian or anybody can stand up and say I know more than Mr. Ajit Doval does. I think these right. So you have so much of information, so much of data available to you. All of it shows that India became free because the army military with which the British were controlling our country, it turned against them, and they thought it better to leave the country. So that is the main reason for them to leave this country. So that's why Netaji has played the most pivotal role in making India free. That is the point which we keep on making everywhere. And unfortunate story is that the government of India does not accept it.
Absolutely. The thing is that the last point. The point is Netaji.
I think your voice is echoing, Bodhisattva. Your voice is very much echoing.
Now is it okay? Is it okay right now?
It has to do with the network, but not because of
Netaji being the first Prime Minister of undivided India and the legitimacy of the Azad Hind government.
No, that this government will not agree to it. You are asking this government to recognize that the INA was the first government, the Azad Hind Sarkar was the first government. No, they will not agree to. They will not agree.
Or Netaji being the first Prime Minister of undivided.
No, they will not agree. But in that case, they will have to count him as the first PM, which they will not. So they will count only because the government that we have in Delhi right now is the successor government to the British Indian government. So we had a transfer of power in 47. So the same government continued with the rulers change. So how will they accept the Subhash Bose's government as the original government? They fought against that government. In their eyes, he was a war criminal. So there's no change. They may make some statement here and there, off the cuff remark, but if you go by the government records, they don't recognize INA. In fact, in the Indian military, they don't like INA people till date. When we had a war memorial in Delhi recently, unveiled, next to the India Gate area, so they didn't take the name of Subhash Bose's, people who died for the country. So you mean to say only these people died for the country after 47? No, they also died for the country. Their name should also be there. So government of India will not agree to it. They go by the construct which the British left them, and they are very loyal to that idea. So that unfortunately has to be done. That can only be resolved unless if this matter is raised public by the politicians in parliament, and especially Bengal should make a representation. Like the MPs, we have got 40 odd MPs in Bengal. They should stand up in parliament. And by the grace of God, Bengali politicians have the lot of capabilities. When they raise issues, it catches attention all over the world. So they should stand up in parliament, make these points very clearly. Okay, look, this is not done after so many years of independence. You cannot give us this nonsense. So you have to accept. There's so much of record. There's so much of data available. So you have to either accept or denounce it. So somebody has to raise it in parliament. The MPs from Bengal have to start this thing. Only then others will join. But unfortunately, what we're saying is that, what to say, then my pet point that गांधी भक्ति में तो बंगाल के पॉलिटिशियन सबसे नंबर 1 चल रहे हैं देश के अंदर. इतनी गांधी भक्ति तो गुजराती एमपी नहीं करते. अभी लास्ट ईयर आपके पूरे एमपी जितने बंगाल के थे, वो गांधी जी की मूर्ति के सामने उन्होंने हाथ जोड़ के पूजा करी है. उनको सुभाष बोस की मूर्ति नजर नहीं आती क्या? तो प्रॉब्लम ये हो रही कि जब नेताजी का उनका अपना his own home state is not standing up for him. See, you have so many icons in our country. You have Bhagat Singh in Punjab, which is technically our part. You have Bhimrao Ambedkar. You have Sardar Patel. These are national icons. You would remember, better than, because you're a historian, you would know it very well, that when we were very young, we were growing up, Sardar Patel and Baba Saheb Ambedkar were not even footnotes in history. They were hardly mentioned. They are footnotes, that's all. Baba Saheb gave us constitution, that's all. Story finished. But see, in last 20-30 years, the way the followers of Baba Saheb and Patel, how they have worked up the whole thing. And the result is that now you see them, their legacies get their due place in our country. Sardar Patel was not mentioned. Today you have a bigger statue in his name in Gujarat. When I go next year, I will go and see it. Advani was the first to try it. He got Sardar Patel's portrait unveiled in North Block, where the Home Minister's office is. So it is there still. You can see it when you climb up. You can see it there. So this is how the followers of those national icons made it possible. So even though Ambedkar, Patel, Subhash, Bhagat Singh are national icons, but all of these icons have a solid support system in their own, let's say, home states. So Patel, I like Patel. Yeah, because I like Patel, but then people in Gujarat probably have more liking for him. You and I both like Shivaji Maharaj, but the respect Shivaji Maharaj gets in Maharashtra, no matter whether somebody supporting party B or C, everybody reveres him. So they become the powerhouse essentially. So unfortunately, the biggest tragedy with Netaji that all the other icons that we have, they have something to support them, maybe a political party or maybe some regional group or a state. In the case of Netaji, there is nobody to stand for him. So he has no state government supporting his name. You do have some lip service in Bengal, but that doesn't help much. So you don't have any political party speaking for him. Today is Bengal. I don't think so. I think there's a competition between TMC and BJP to prove who is a bigger Gandhi Bhakt. That is what I see, nothing else. So we are left with nothing. So unfortunately, unless until something happens in Bengal, there's nothing much we can do. Now we hear election is coming in Bengal and people are talking of Bengali pride. But in Bengali pride, there's no mention of Subhash Bose. So what is Bengali pride? Rasgulla. So there's more to Bengali pride than eating Rasgulla. So Subhash Bose has to be discussed. He's the most famous Bengalis all Bengalis. He's the most famous all over the country. Right. So this has to start there. So people need to associate. Bengali should with great pride stand up in Parliament House elsewhere and say, look, we were the ones who brought India freedom. There should be no shame in saying so. It's a good thing. If Patel's followers can do so much.
It's all about pride. It's all pride.
It's justifiable. You say that we fought for freedom struggle like nobody else did. So that's a very valid argument. But the problem is that when you start doing Gandhi Bhakti, then it hurts. Hurts people like me who are sitting in Delhi and trying to change things.
Dada, then
There are 42 members of parliament of Bengal, from Bengal.
Right.
अब उनका रिकॉर्ड बताऊंगा तो आप फिर क्या किया उन्होंने जब मुखर्जी कमीशन का रिपोर्ट रिजेक्ट हुआ. आई गिव यू स्टोरी, वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी. यू नो द डिफरेंस. You know what happened to Mukherjee Commission? You know, when the report was tabled in 2005, the government, first of all, they delayed. They tabled on the last day of the session so that there was no time to discuss it. And members were not prepared to discuss because they didn't get time to read it. So anyway, and the government rejected the report without giving a reason in the action taken report, which was given in those days.
Okay.
And there was nothing happened in Bengal. You have a very famous paper called, Telegraph. I cannot read ABP, but I can read Telegraph in English language. The Telegraph had this story of Government of India rejecting the Mukherjee Commission report on the 7-page single column story. Can you believe that? That is a paper being published from Netaji city. There's a commission of inquiry set up on the Calcutta High Court's order, given by a very reputed judge, and the government rejects the report without giving any reason. And Telegraph is publishing the story in single column on the 7th page. और आज का पेपर उठाइए, आज सुबह का, वो डोनाल्ड ट्रंप हार गया तो पहले पन्ने में ऐसे लिख रहे हैं जैसे उनके चाचा जी की वहां पे शादी हुई थी. वहां पे आपको क्या इंटरेस्ट है? चलिए, आपको अमेरिका में क्या हो रहा है? हाउ डज इट कंसर्न मी? बाय द वे यार, इट्स अ डिफरेंट कंट्री ऑल टुगेदर. Maybe Ministry of External Affairs would look. So the point is that's a priority. They talk about democracy and so on and so forth, but Subhash Bose के बारे में देने का इंटरेस्ट नहीं है. They are hostile. That's a different matter. Same time, when this thing happened, Mukherjee Commission, there was another commission report came, Nanavati Commission report, on the the Congress people had killed a lot of Sikhs after Mrs. Gandhi's assassination. Congress did the same thing. They rejected that report without giving reasons. 5 दिन में पंजाब में चक्का जाम हो गया और इनकी मतलब मुंडी पकड़ ली इनकी वहां पे. और 10 दिन के बाद में वही शिवराज पाटिल अपना स्टेटमेंट चेंज किया कि नो वी एक्सेप्ट द रिपोर्ट. तो ऐसे काम होता है. एक लैंग्वेज में आप दिल्ली में आके पार्लियामेंट में बोलने की लैंग्वेज होती है. बंगाल के एमपी जानते हो लैंग्वेज क्या है कि कागज देके यूं उछाला जाता है, तब खबर बनती है ब्रेकिंग न्यूज कि नानावती की रिपोर्ट गवर्नमेंट ने रिजेक्ट करी. 4 दिन में लोगों ने उनकी औकात दिखा दी गवर्नमेंट को और उनको एक्सेप्ट करना पड़ा. मुखर्जी कमीशन की रिपोर्ट रिजेक्ट हुई. देयर वाज नॉट अ विम्पर फ्रॉम बंगाल. अगर उस दिन प्रोटेस्ट होता तो ये लोग ये कर नहीं पाते जो ये उन्होंने करा है. तो वो सॉलिड सपोर्ट सिस्टम बंगाल से आना चाहिए सुभाष बोस को लेकर के. आप नहीं बोलेंगे तो कौन बोलेगा? आप नहीं बोलेंगे तो कौन बोलेगा? सिर्फ 23 जनवरी को झंडा रैली निकालने से कुछ नहीं होने वाला. छुट्टी डिक्लेयर कर दी गवर्नमेंट ने तो रैली निकाल देंगे, उससे कुछ फायदा नहीं होने वाला. बट ये तो इशू बहुत जबरदस्त है. लाइफ एंड डेथ इशू इज वेरी सीरियस. सो and this is factual, this is truthful. Everybody, for example, the role that he played in making India free, everybody knows. Mr. Doval knows it. जनरल बख्शी, कौन लोग उसको बोलते हैं पब्लिकली? जनरल बख्शी बोलते हैं, वो बोल रहे हैं, मेरे साथ आदमी बोल रहा है, आप बोल रहे हैं. लेकिन कोई जो बंगाल के बड़े बड़े लोग हैं उसमें से कितने लोगों ने बोला? कितने एमपीज ने आपके बोला आज तक की बात? कितने बड़े लीडर्स ने कहा? आपके सबसे ज्यादा इंटेलेक्चुअल हिंदुस्तान के कलकत्ता में कितने फिल्म वालों ने ये बात बोली है? कितने आपके बड़े थिंकर्स ने बोला आज तक कि सुभाष बोस वाज द मेन पर्सन टू मेक इंडिया फ्री? एक आदमी ने नहीं बोला आज तक. तो जिस आदमी को अपने होम स्टेट में सपोर्ट नहीं मिल रहा तो उसके लिए बड़ा मुश्किल है बाहर से हम लोग कितना काम कर सकते हैं. और प्रॉब्लम ये कि अगर आप हम लोग नहीं करवा पाए तो ये इशू आने वाले 10-20 साल में दब जाएगा.
I can understand the emotions and we all are here to do the thing and we will make it possible. और दादा एक लास्ट पॉइंट अभी मेरे दिमाग में आया. एक्चुअली मैं सोच रहा था कि वही लास्ट होगा, लास्ट क्वेश्चन जो पूछा है. एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगा that whether all the files are declassified.
No, all the files have not been declassified. The government has told a lie. In fact, some member of parliament should move a motion against the government for telling a lie because it's a breach of parliament. You should tell a lie on parliament. How? On the floor of the parliament. How? On the floor of the house, which they have done. From the very first, in fact, the whole idea of declassification started with my book, India's Biggest Cover-Ups, where I have given an outline how to do it seriously. There are people who in past talked about declassification, but they only talked. We have done a proper way, given proper data that there are these many files in PMO, these many files there. This is how it should be done. This is how it happens in America. I've given specific examples, related them to the Indian context, so on and so forth. So it was a proper blueprint which my book, India's Biggest Cover-Up, has. So the first thing that we have discussed and I have discussed there is, you must declassify the intelligence files because this entire issue of Netaji's disappearance is essentially in the realm of intelligence agencies. So the first thing, intelligence file should be released. In fact, that's what we have been saying all the while. And if you go back to the media stories, when Netaji's family and us used to give presentations and we used to talk about it in the press clubs, etc., we always said that the intelligence file should come out first. But it is Netaji's family which changed the stand later on, and they did not want probably the intelligence files to come out for two reasons best known to them. But the government of India has released files which are from the PMO, MHA, and MEA.
Okay.
But they have not touched even a single file from the intelligence side, which to our knowledge contain the essential stuff. So the the declassification is not complete, definitely not complete. They have many more files.
Adding to this question, Dada, that do you believe that lots of file, so Dada, do you think that lots of files has been destroyed in the past?
No, not only feel there's evidence of destroyed. I can give you example. In 1972, there was this Khosla Commission functioning. This is a matter of record. I filed an RTI. They gave me an answer. There's nothing. This is factual data. I've got all the papers with me. 72, there was this Khosla Commission was functioning, and there was a file which was opened in 1956 when Panditji was the Prime Minister. Circumstances leading to the death of Subhash Chandra Bose. So you have a file title like this. In 1970, you have set up a commission under public pressure which is looking into Subhash Bose's death. So this file should have been given to that commission. Number one. Number two, this file not only should have been given to the commission, it should have been retained permanently, because it's, again, the rule book is very clear. Files on such matters are not destroyed. They are retained publicly, permanently. They may be retained as secret, file for some time. 25 years later on, they must be sent to the National Archives. That the government, in violation of all rules, destroyed that file, and some people like Subramaniam Swamy have publicly said it. This was Pandit Nehru's master file on Subhash Bose's death. So they destroyed that file. So this is an open and shut case of government, malafide intention, and there are multiple such cases. They destroyed many files. Now, in the case of Gumnami Bagha, for example, we don't have time for that thing. The way the whole thing happened, it's very clear that the government must be having many files about it. The intelligence department, which looks after even small things happening in the nook and corner of the country, I'm not prepared to believe they have nothing about this man. When this case had become so big that Netaji's family came in the picture, and niece filed a case in the High Court. High Court gave favorable order in 86. How is it possible the Intelligence Bureau does not have a paper about it? It's not possible. This is not how they function. This is not the information that I've got. We have heard so many things from the people that these guys were there. So the government of India is concealing our documents. So earlier governments were doing, this government is also doing the same thing. Because they do not want the truth to come out, because probably in their assessment, the truth probably is not something which serves their interest. So government, in short answer, yes, they are holding many files. The files have been destroyed. It's a factual thing. There's nothing illegal. If these files were not about Subhash Bose, if they were about something else, for example, you have a very famous, infamous case of, there's one person died in Bengal a couple of years ago. Some Rahman fellow, Rizwan Rahman. He died, and this body was found, on railway tracks, and so that story you remember. You know what happened after his body was found? After his body was found, all over the world, wherever there was a Bengali community living, they came out of the street and they protested. They wanted justice. Now, for the sake of the argument, tomorrow, if there's a story in Anand Bazar Patrika, for the sake of argument, that the Home Ministry under the Mr. Shah is holding 2 top secret files regarding that incident. What is going to happen tomorrow morning in Calcutta? I can give you in writing that MPs from Bengal will go ballistic in Parliament, and they will demand declassification immediate. There will be 100 rallies, and they will have the chakka jam in the entire city. So if you can show that much emotion from an ordinary person, why that emotion is missing for Subhash Bose? जिस दिन इन लोगों ने आप मुखर्जी कमीशन का रिपोर्ट रिजेक्ट किया था, आप इनको जूता मारना चाहिए था इन लोगों को, आप लोग को। उनको वही लैंग्वेज समझ में आती है। नानावती कमीशन में उनको हमने उनकी मुंडी पकड़ ली थी इन लोगों की, हम लोगों ने, पंजाब के लोगों ने एक्सेप्ट किया उन्होंने 4 दिन के बाद में। तो ये तो those used to force can never be won by words. By force I mean you have to press them, you have to arm twist them. They will not tell you the truth. They have been lying since 1947. Who are these people sitting in power in Delhi? Those who reap the harvest of Subhash Bose's struggle. अंग्रेजों के पैर चाटते थे और ट्रांसफर पावर में अपने फेवर में गद्दी इन्होंने करवा ली. उस आदमी ने लड़ाई करी, ये लोग बैठ के खीर खा रहे हैं उसके नाम पे. तो इस तरह के बेशर्मों से आप लोग बात कर रहे हो, ये कोई आपको दे देंगे फायर आराम से, पर आपको खड़े होकर बोलना पड़ेगा ना वहां पे. 40 MP कम होते हैं क्या? 40 MP में तो गवर्नमेंट उड़ा दूंगा भैया मैं. 40 MP you think is very small number? It's a huge number. The day 10 MPs from Bengal stand up in parliament and they say Netaji gave us freedom, stop this nonsense about अहिंसा. मैं आपको लिख के दे रहा हूँ 50 MP आपको यूपी से बिहार से सपोर्ट करेंगे. कोई सपोर्ट नहीं करता इनसे की थ्योरी को. Everybody knows it's a cock and bull story. Nobody believes it. I have been all over the world. All over the country, people know India became free because of Subhash Bose. I live in Delhi. I keep saying everywhere, you cannot get even a tenant to leave, to go out of your house with using non-violence. अंग्रेज सुनो क्या सब non-violence यार, बेकार की बात है. It's a fiction. It's planted to show them in good light by those who are favoring the British. जिनको अपने बच्चों को सेटल करना था लंदन में जाकर की बात में, ये उन लोगों का काम है. तो ये जब तक मोमेंटम बिल्डअप नहीं होगा आपका बंगाल से, 40-42 MP बहुत होते हैं. Recently I met one MP, not from Bengal, some other state, but he knows many people, many Bengali MPs. I told them, please go and tell them, you have to get together, all the parties, form a pressure group, caucus as you call them in America. You have a caucus for Dalit MPs. You know that anybody dares to say something against, let's say, Baba Saheb Ambedkar, you will have MPs from all political parties standing and talking for it. So for Netaji, you should have that kind of feeling that anybody who does the dishonor, goes against, say something nonsense about Subhash Bose. When Justice Kajju spoke about Netaji, he spoke some nonsense. How many people protested in Bengal? It was I who abused him on Times Now and Arnab show. किसी ने आर्टिकल लिखे बड़े बड़े, और मैं आपको अगर बताऊं अभी कि कितने घटिया आर्टिकल बंगाल के मेन स्ट्रीम मीडिया में सुभाष बोस के बारे में लिखे गए. टेलीग्राफ में क्या लिखा सुभाष बोस के बारे में, बकवास लिखी उसके बारे में, उसके बारे में आपने इतनी गलत बातें बोली. यू आर मेकिंग फन ऑफ हिम पब्लिकली. दिस इज हैपनिंग इन मेन स्ट्रीम पेपर. स्टेट्समैन में आर्टिकल छप रहे इतने घटिया किस्म के. यू आर मेकिंग फन ऑफ सुभाष बोस दैट ही वेंट एंड ही हैड अ टाई अप विद हिटलर. सो आपको डिप्लोमेसी की एबीसीडी समझ में आती है आपको? डू यू नो व्हाट इज नेशनल सिक्योरिटी? नेशनल सिक्योरिटी कॉन्सेप्ट हमको अब ये पत्रकार समझेंगे क्या? तो इस तरह की हरकतें वहां हो रही है. और ये क्या कोई पंजाब में भगत सिंह को तो जो कुकर बोल करके इलेक्शन जीत सकता है? बोल के दिखाओ. भगत सिंह वाज अ कम्युनिस्ट. द एंटायर राइट विंग बैक्स हिम. फॉरगेट अबाउट हिज बीइंग कम्युनिस्ट, बट ही वाज समबडी हु डाइड फॉर द कंट्री. Bhagat Singh was a communist. I am not a communist. I don't support communists, but we have such emotions for him. And you people tolerated those who abused him, called him Tojo's donkey, Tojo's cooker and all that. उनको उठा के आपने वोट दे दिया. और वो लक्ष्मी सहगल जो है हमको आके लेक्चर दे रही है सुभाष बोस के बारे में कि तेरे को कोई पार्टी ज्वाइन करने को मिली नहीं बाद में, तो हम तो बन गए कॉमरेड. तो ऐसा नहीं चलता ना. It's not like that. So there has to be an awareness. Need for an awareness. The people of Bengal should get their acts together, and in the name of Bengali pride, they should all demand from the central government, look, India became free because of Netaji. You have to accept that and stop this nautanki about this ahinsa just because it is sellable in American and European countries. We want to know the truth. और आप लोग बोलेंगे तो कौन बोलेगा? आप लोग बोलेंगे तभी तो हम लोगों को सपोर्ट मिलेगा. गलत तो नहीं बोला, सच बोला. Everybody accepts that India became free because of that man. Tell the government to accept it, and then you know the reality.
And I think this will surely happen. Everybody will agree to this point that India finally got freedom due to Netaji and his military activities and due to the contributions and the sacrifices made by the INA men. And अनुज दा को मैं फिर से बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ for his views, for his I can understand the emotions that the hard work which he has put for writing his book.
Actually मेरे इमोशन जो है ना, अनफॉर्चुनेटली मैं अपने इमोशन को डिस्प्ले नहीं करता बिकॉज मैं भी जोर से बोलूंगा तो मेरे घर के लोगों की नींद उठ जाएगी. दूसरा है कि आई एम लाइक डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प. आई एम नॉट एबल टू टॉक टू कैमरा. आई डोंट फील लाइक टॉकिंग. आई फील आई नीड टू हैव अ रियल ह्यूमन बीइंग सिटिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी. सो आई एम ट्राइंग टू ओवरकम दोस इनहिबिशंस. I am not at all comfortable talking on the on this thing. In fact, I don't even like to talk to people on phone. I need to have real people. I am somebody who likes to speak in auditorium. where I see people, I see their faces, I read the body language, and accordingly I do whatever I have to do. But so anyhow, but this is how it is. So you are bound to become emotional, and it's a very emotional thing. And those who know the issue, the history of this entire case, they will bound to become emotional. They'll feel distressed.
I believe
It's such a but this awareness that such a bad thing happened. The man who was the main reason for your freedom, he should be set aside, and his role should be given to somebody else. People feel the pain. It's everywhere. I mean, I felt it everywhere. In Gujarat, I've given 3 lectures in Gujarat. So people are saying the same thing they're saying. In fact, I must tell you, since recently when Sardar Patel's Statue of Unity was unveiled by Prime Minister, so leading the delegation from Patel family was Dhirubhai Patel, who's the grand nephew of Sardar Patel, and he's 96 years old, so he's not a kid. So he has seen it all. He made public statements. Public statement he made that it would have been better if my uncle had tied up with Subhash Bose. This is coming from Patel's family, knowing well what relationship they had. And he made public statement that Mahatma Gandhi and Nehru did not let my uncle become the Prime Minister. And I'm very bit amazed because Narendra Modi, as the Gujarat Chief Minister, talked more about Netaji than he's doing now. I landed in Vadodara, so the main and Modi ji contested election both in Vadodara and Banaras, and he opted for Banaras. In Vadodara, the main chalk has got Netaji statue, which Modi unveiled. So he has talked about Subhash Bose when he was the Chief Minister. In fact, the family and us approached him when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. He was in Calcutta. Chandra Bose took an appointment from him. I'm coming from the Bose family, and he gave him a letter which was drafted by Chandrachud and me, in which we sought his help in intervention. This is 2013. There was no talk of his being Prime Minister. And he was a rock star even in those days. He gave Chandra more than 40-45 minutes. Modi was a very big person even in those days. Please understand that. So as Gujarat Chief Minister, he was keen. And here also he became Prime Minister. Whatever he did very fast. So I do have to say that something he has done is good. But unfortunately, he has not cracked the case. There's something which has gone wrong somewhere. So that can be rectified if people from Bengal were to stand up and ask.
Absolutely. We are the people who need to raise this issue so that.
The day you convey a message to your members of parliament, I'll put it very bluntly. The day people of Bengal convey message to their lawmakers, MLAs and MPs कि नेताजी का नाम लोगे तो वोट मिलेंगे और नहीं नाम लोगे तो वोट कटेंगे. That is the only language which is understood by politicians. कि ये काम करूंगा तो वोट मिलेंगे, ये काम करूंगा तो वोट कटेंगे. जिस दिन ये मैसेज चला गया, वो फाइल मेरे घर में आएगी. जब वो करने पे आते हैं ना किसी के फेवर में, तो फिर यही वो देश है. जब पीछे फोर्स लगता है तो रात को 3 बजे सुप्रीम कोर्ट खुल जाता है आतंकवादी के लिए. फोर्स होनी चाहिए, पूरी पब्लिक खड़ी हो जाती है. So that's how it is. So the day politicians realize there's going to be vote, and let's start with Bengal.
Right.
Election आने वाले हैं, तो वहाँ पे the message has to go very clearly कि your members of parliament and other lawmakers, they should raise the issue.
Right. Absolutely.
And people should tell them we'll give you votes if you do it. So believe me, then 40-42 MP बहुत होते हैं यार. 40-42 MP अगर इकट्ठे हो जाए तो बजट पास नहीं होगा. You can do wonderful things in democracy with 40 MPs.
Right.
फाइल निकालना बहुत छोटी बात है. हाँ?
That's the beauty of democracy.
फाइल ब्यूटी ऑफ द डेमोक्रेसी है. फाइल निकालना बड़ी छोटी बात है. 40 MP इकट्ठे हो जाए एक जगह पे. अरे यहाँ तो हजारों करोड़ के घोटाले हो जाते हैं, यहाँ तो फाइल निकालने की बड़ी बात क्या. आपको लगता है कि 40 MP खड़े होकर के एक डिमांड करें कि ये होगा. You think anybody will dare ignore them? Knowing the history of the whole case, knowing very well that in every party, even in Congress, let me tell you one thing very clearly, that people not assume that I am speaking against them. Not everybody in Congress is against Subhash Bose. There's so many people in Congress who support Subhash Bose. Privately, though, they have spoken to me. Even left party also. I'm not saying every communist or everybody in Congress party is anti-Nazi. No, there are so many of them who support them. So his supporters are there in every party. And especially in Bengal, you have in TMC many supporting him. I know them personally. You have in BJP some of them. You have in even left front. Once you start the process, it will go the whole way. But people must make the lawmakers understand that they must take it up issue and they will be given rewards, that is votes. Politician बेचारा वोट का भूखा होता है, उसको और कुछ नहीं चाहिए उसको लाइफ में. He just want your votes. You tell him कि I'll give you vote, but you have to talk, you have to do this issue, take up these issues. This is, there is no, बस last time है कि there is no rocket science. I mean, इसमें कोई research करने की जो rocket science नहीं है. आपको नई दिल्ली में पार्लियामेंट हाउस में मैसेज कन्वे करना है.
There are viewers who are already supporting your point that lawmakers should raise the issue.
हाँ.
Their supporters, the people are supporting your views, and I can see the views here only. So that's the thing. That's the point why we are here. Why three of us and all the members of this particular center and the viewers, we all are present for this. And I thank from the core of my heart on behalf of Netaji Subhash INA Information Center. Thank you, Anujdhar. Thank you, Anujdada, for giving your time, for sharing your views, for sharing your opinion, and sharing your the informations which you have with all of us. I again thank you for joining us, for being a part of this program, for being the most important part of the program. Thanks for joining our center, and I hope that in future also we'll get the opportunity to talk to you.
I would say that you get I take the liberty of advising that suggesting that get Chandrachud Ghosh. Advantage with him is also one, but he can speak in Bengali. I cannot. Being a non-Bengali, I can't speak in Bengali. But Chandrachud can and discuss so many things in Bangla, and he can explain. And there are many issues concerning his life, and he knows far better than anybody else. So this should continue. You should have session with different people, and so this is a wonderful thing you're doing. So all of us will have to work together in order to send a message to our MPs and MLAs, raise the issue, get the votes, and tide the schools of Delhi in Delhi.
Thank you very much. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Dada, very much for giving the time. Good night. Good night, Bodhisattva.